I'll show you quickly the other animations I did yesterday as well. So you can actually open these boxes now, go inside and pull these levers down. Funny enough, at the moment you can actually pull them at the same time, which is kind of funny. Okay, so I actually need to keep them because my bad. When we go down, if it's not enabled, we need to go straight down to that scene. So this is where we have add the conditions. Brilliant. It's just going straight down the ladder, straight up the ladder, straight down the ladder. Imagine seeing the world like this. Imagine playing the game like this. It's like, you know, you're playing in like some kind of like you're playing a game in a candy world. Everything's just like made of candy. You can like eat everything. Hey guys, it's Neyyah here from Defy Reality Entertainment, and today I'm going to show you guys what I'm up to in Blender and Visionaire. So basically it's just a kind of on the go kind of devlog. It's nothing specific that I'm going to be going through that I want to sort of showcase. It's just kind of the work that I'm doing at the moment. So yeah, here we go. Get rid of that so you don't see, you only want to see one of me. I think that's enough. Okay, so here we have the scene that I'm kind of focusing on at the moment in Visionaire. I'll actually give you a quick snippet of something that I'm going to be going through today. It's going to be an animation that is classed as a journey mode animation, and I'll give you an example of what that looks like in the actual game. Okay, wrong scene. We'll come back down. So going down just then, that's the animation we're going to be doing. I'm going to be going through with you. So at the moment we can just look up and we can climb up the ladder and we just appear where we need to be. You can look up and look around and stuff like that. Okay, so here I have my menus, my new little icons here for the main menu. And I actually created these over Sunday and they look pretty cool. I like the way they work. I'm not too sure if I've got sound coming through from the game yet. Awesome stuff. Just didn't have my volume up. And I've got these little kind of sounds as well. So it's quite different to what I had before. This thing, it works quite nicely for how the game is now. But anyway, so we're going to options. We also have a new options screen as well, so you can see here we have our little different buttons that we can press to turn things on and off. Some of these things aren't actually implemented yet. I mean, for example, music lover. That's something that isn't going to be touched for a good while. Basically means the player can listen to more music within the game. If it's off, they'll still listen to certain bits of music, but if they turn it on, there'll be more continuous music. So it's kind of almost like hidden tracks. But anyway, all the music will be available on a, you know, an actual OST, you know, original soundtrack that will be released, you know, with the, you know, once the game is finished. But we want journey mode, and this is cool because it's actually working right now. So if I go up, what I have is an animation that isn't rendered fully, but is a placement of Opengl Frames from Blender that just basically enable me to see if everything moves fluidly within the environment. I've actually recorded a video recently of, like, you know, levers being pulled, and it's the same kind of thing. They're cropped over the image. This is different because it's the huge video, and you'll see now. You know, it fills up the entire screen, and then it goes to the scene that you need to be at. So at the moment, those end scenes actually don't match. This scene here and the last frame of the animation don't match fully, but that's cool. You know, that's all. I don't really need to worry about that too much at the moment. So we're going to be looking at the video, the FMV that will be us going down the ladder. Right. So we have a scene here that shows us looking down at the ladder, about to climb down it, and I can show you in Visionaire that scene. It's basically not exactly the same frame because it's a different file that I'm using to create this animation, but basically I've kind of got close to this kind of angle here, I think there's even more of the actual ladder showing than the other one, which is where is it? In here. But that's cool. That's all good. So I've got about 150 frames to play with. I think the climb up was about 153. So I'm just going to sort of experiment with this. It's sometimes a bit of hit and miss of kind of getting the right position within the sequence, and you know, the turns, and making sure they time nicely. Everything has to kind of look quite realistic and move fluidly, like you're actually climbing down the ladder. And what you would do is kind of get into position. So I kind of take all that into consideration, you know. So we'll just start with. I'm actually gonna make sure it's saved. Yeah, that's all good. Saved as the right file. Save that as location, rotation, scale, and we can add our first keyframe. I actually start with, hopefully it won't take too long to load. I start with my start frame at 0 as well, usually, and then I sort of just go from there. I think sometimes I have started at 1, but I just like starting right at the beginning of the timeline. Okay, ready to go. So I'm just going to move it to about here for now. We might add a few more frames. I might actually do this. I'm just going to go for 200 for now and see how we go with that. Just I want the turns to be as fluid as possible and as many frames. I think we're doing it about 24. I might actually knock this up to about 30. And for that turn, I'm going to get the player to be moving about to here. And let's see how that goes. Insert our frame. A few less. And the player gets to about... You know, usually when I'm doing actual renders as well for the game, I use my 3D model of who I call Devlogs, who was named after one of my patrons. He won like a Patreon special that I was doing, and one of the things that he was able to do was name the 3D model that I use for scaling within the game to get everything to like a particular height, like the camera angle and everything. But yeah, for these animations, there's a bit more of kind of like a kind of guessing, rather than kind of like, you know, making sure that he's scaled to about 6 foot above the ground level. So I just sort of guess the positions for these kind of animations. Also, it's just making sure that I'm as close as I can be, you know, to the actual ladder too. I don't want to be too far away. I want to be fairly close, as if like realistically I'm actually going down this thing. One thing I do need to do quickly is I need to, and this can be, you know, now I've clicked on that part of the ladder here just to kind of get closer to it. I no longer have the actual camera selected, which means if I do add a frame, that the camera's not actually going to be it's not going to be animated. So I can go back into there now. I've got the camera selected and I can add my frame. And that's pretty cool. Actually, what I might do is just move that across a bit more. The reason being is because for some reason there's a bit of... Whoa, what's happened there? That's cool. Move back a bit more. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm just framing everything from the sides, making sure everything's kind of composed quite nicely or fairly straight. Let's move that a bit of a perfectionist thing. Okay, move a bit more across. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Insert frame there. And then we're going to have a few more longer frames. So yeah, so far, I mean, it's turning out to be fairly long, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so now we're going to go down the ladder. What a nice position of going down it, and we want to be at the right level. This is where our human scale model of Neyyah would come in useful, just because now we're going to be at ground level. You know, we don't want to be down there, we want to be up sort of at this position here, looking at a particular angle. The best thing I can do without kind of like rushing around trying to find the human model, positioning them, just to save a bit of time, I can actually go to my frames here and look at what position I'm at looking at the ladder. So I'm actually kind of far away from it, which might not be so much the case. I might actually position this angle a bit closer to the ladder. I mainly want to get this box here in the frame, but I think it's just a bit too far back right now, so I'm actually going to close in on that anyway, so that's cool. I'll run with this. And I'll zoom into about here even. That's pretty cool. Let's see what we have at this position. Yeah, we're a bit closer, so that's cool. And we're going to pull back a bit more now. See if we... Nah, that's cool. That's fine. When the player turns around anyway, they'll see the box, so I'm going to go for this. I just don't like that last one, well, this rod here. I'm very particular with what's framed in the image. I mean, the thing is, these are the images that the player sees. You know, the windows into the world. So I want everything to be kind of as nice as possible. And even things like this I get funny about. It's like, you know, this yellow line, wherever it is inside this box, will be the render, and I just find that to be off. Like it's almost like a lazy shot. Bring that up. There you go. It's much better. It's cool. I think that does the trick. It's very centered. I'm actually going to bring it across a bit more here. Make sure the ladder's in the center of the frame. I can always do a quick test on here as well. Yeah, it's fairly good. And it's always a bit hard to see with all the colours. You can't really tell until you render it. But I'd say that's pretty spot on. I might move that a bit further across. That'll do. Yeah, that's good. Alright, for some reason my camera is not positioning where it should be. I don't know why. That's cool. Okay, now we can insert a frame there. Now we need to do a turn, so we actually need to add a few more frames. I'm going to go to 250. We just need to do a turn now, which is cool. You know, I'll go to about here. Actually, go to about here. So we need to do a kind of a midpoint. I'm going to turn this way, so we're looking at the fuse box as we turn. About here. Too much rail there. That's cool. That's centered. I'm just going to add that as a frame for now. We can always go over it. Let's double check it. You can now see one of our cameras there in front of it. That'll do. That's cool. And then we go over here to our last frame at 250. And we'll position it to where it needs to be now, looking this way. And I can just jump to my 12C, I believe. And I can see a bit of the box there. I think maybe it's a bit too far back still, so I'm just going to see what we can do with that. So it's at a good height. I think these things you see, like when you're doing an animation where you're moving, the first and the last frame really need to match with the frame that you've walked to, that you've clicked to, you know, walked to. You've kind of floated to. In this game, you don't really do much walking; it's more clicking. But you can get around quite fast, actually, especially if you turn off transitions. I'll show you a quick example of that in a minute if I remember to get around to it. Actually, I'll do that now quickly for you. So, for example, fingers crossed this works. I think, yeah, default would be speed, which is kind of like the first transition. If you turn transitions on, you know, you kind of just blink to each one almost. So just a little fade. It's quite nice. But if you go to neutral, for example, it's just a bit more of a fade there. Which is quite nice. That's one of the animations I added last night. So yeah. I think that's pretty good. That's a cool height. So I'm going to add that. And we can just sort of test the frames as well. We can play it back. I might play it kind of slow. And it's not the same. When I add it into like Visionaire, it kind of speeds up quite nicely. But just to see if everything's moving correctly. Gives me an idea anyway. At this point we should be moving a bit faster now, as we kind of get down to a kind of like putting our feet down on the actual ruds of the ladder, and then kind of starting now, as we get to the next point, from here we'll start to sort of straighten up a bit. Oh, we've jammed up a bit. I think cool. It's what, same kind of speed, the same amount of frames almost. And then I'll be turning around at this point. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. We'll go with that. And what I'm going to do now is just save this sequence as Opengl Frames. So you can see here, Opengl render active viewport, and I can obviously do that with just taking pictures as well, just to see the framing of things. Very quick render, and come out of that. And now I can actually save my frames. So we'll go to climb down. And just find out whereabouts we are. I think we're in journey mode. Lovely. Heater servers. Portal button. That's portal. Climb down. Put renders. Whoa. Okay. We'll put renders. And we'll go into Opengl, because we're going to have a raw edited and all sorts of folders in here once we've rendered the actual full animations, although that's going to be done over on this computer over here, which you can see is being worked on at the moment with a few animations in progress. That's going quite nicely. Okay, so select our Opengl. This folder will also have a crop, no it won't, sorry. For levers and stuff like that, it actually has like a separate folder that's like cropped, so that I run through that with Photoshop, and you can see my other video that sort of goes into more detail with those kind of animations. I kind of crop those animations and put them onto the actual image, just so it sort of saves file sizes as well. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna bash that one out. Oh, wrong one. It's gonna render the entire frame. We don't want that. We just want to do Opengl. Okay. There we go. It's going to render all our frames. So yeah, I'll come back and once it's all finished, I'll show you how I convert them into WebP files and bring them into Visionaire, and we'll get that into the engine. Okay, so that's all finished now. As you can see here, this is the last frame of us looking down the walkway. We just climbed down the ladder. What I can do now is bring everything into here, and actually you can see here in this software, which is X and Convert, and basically here I can convert my frames from PNG files to WebP files, which Visionaire uses. You know, they can keep really good quality while you can actually compress them quite nicely as well. So I'm going to add my climb down frames. Yeah, before I actually do that, I'm just going to get rid of this folder here because Blender decided to mess up and kind of show something that wasn't supposed to be there, and it covered what I was supposed to be writing. So yeah, this annoying things like that sometimes happen with different softwares. But yeah, you gotta love technology sometimes. And it's funny, things like this, you just think, oh, you know, I'll be able to get this done really quickly, but then something comes up and it's like you saved the wrong file, or you know, something isn't converted properly, and it's just like you have to do it all over again, and things always come up. But it is nice when things run smoothly, and hopefully this animation here runs quite smoothly, but we'll see. So we're going to put that into our assets for the build within Visionaire. I've actually got everything set up there. I'm just going to go to, we've got portal, climb up, ladder to portal, climb up, and we need to go to ladder to portal, climb down. And I'm going to just open up a OpenGL folder. These will get deleted once the raw and the actual frames are put in, so I'm going to save them there for now. Not that it means much for these OpenGL frames, but you can actually change the quality of the kind of the image, like the compression. I usually go for about 90 for the actual animated frames for Neyyah. I go to about 100 for the actual frames themselves, the actual scenes, just to keep, you know, a good enough quality, while also reducing the file sizes quite considerably. Lossless is great, but you don't really get much of a compression at all. Okay, so we'll convert those. They'll go really quick, just because they're really small files. Really, they're just OpenGL. Okie dokie. I should hear like a bing when that's finished. So what I'll do, I'm actually just going to copy in a frame the lookup 12.8 lookup climb up. So what actually happens in Visionaire for these animations is this. I'll show you a quick example before I go into the other one, because it's just going to be like a rinse repeat anyway. So we've got a go forward, which is this hotspot here. When clicked on a left click, if the condition of journey mode enabled is true, it's going to go to our scene here, which is our animation. The animation is activated upon when the cursor enters this object area. If I come back out and move this across here, where is it? That entire hotspot covers the entire image, and so when the cursor goes into it, wherever it will be, it basically triggers the animation. So you can see here, the animation gets played, and then once it's played, it goes straight, immediately show scene, it goes straight to our end image of the animation, which will be 13A. The scene does again need to be changed because it doesn't match with the end frame of the animation. I mean, for example, I could just add that for now. I could add that end frame of the animation. So if I go to here, we need journey mode. Journey modes. Here's server. We need that last frame, just so that, you know, gives me a kind of point of being like, oh, okay, cool, you know, that's the last frame of that animation there. So we'll just click that. So now when we go down, turn on the journey mode, go up, and it will finish exactly where it needs to finish there. Cool, awesome stuff. And now we need to do the same thing for our climb down. So I believe we need to go to 13C, look down. I'm going to copy this down here for now. I'm just going to paste it. This saves a bit of time. 13C, look down and climb down, enemy. And now, just rename that. I just need to change the frames and change the, you know, everything else, that, you know, clicking and all sorts. Because you can actually click on an animation, it will skip and it'll go straight to the frame that you will be ending on. So you can actually skip the animations if you want, even if you've got journey mode on. It's quite cool. So we need to go to climb down. Our starting frame will be here. It doesn't match this because now it's a slightly altered frame. But again, we can just jump into here for now. Where are we? So many folders. And that'll be the actual frame of looking down for now, so that it just matches up with the animation basically. And you can see there the starting frame of the animation of the scene. When you cursor enters, you know, will be the first frame of the animation. So now we need to alter this. We need to do a climb down. We're going to call it climb down anim, and we're going to enter our scenes. Actually, what I'll do, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to start all over again for this bit, just so it saves a bit of time. Climb down anim. We're going to here. Automatically uploads our frames. I think we'll set that to 30 as well. So that's just the speed of the animation. I can actually slow animations down as well with Visionaire, which is quite nice. Just that if you've rendered the animation to a certain frames per second and you slow it right down, you'll see the sort of the stagger, you know, the delay in the frames. So it can be a bit of a mess up. So yeah, 30 frames, which matches basically the 30 frames per second that we've rendered at. So what I'll do now, that's there, enters. Because I've changed the animation, it's actually empty at the moment, so I need to alter that, and it's already set. So on this scene that we're on, it's actually picking out automatically what animations there are. So climb down anim is already set there, we just put that in. The last scene that we'll be going to after the animation will now be 12C, I believe. Just double check that. Yes. Which, again, we can actually change that now to the last scene of the animation, but that depends on if the animation is going to work. I'm hoping that the speed of everything works quite nicely, and the movement can be again a bit of hit and miss, but sometimes it's lovely when it works the first time. The climb up worked the first time. I did that this morning before I recorded this video. Okay, where are we at? Go back. I'm distracting myself, tangenting. I actually went out for a walk today, and I was talking to my mum, and what was it that we were talking about? It was something that it was just like we were right in the, you know, in the zone, and I went out instead of my travel mug that I usually have. I went out with my cup of coffee, and I was like, wait a sec. I left the house. I was like, okay, I'm not with it right now. So yeah, I had to go back and get my travel mug, but that just happens, you know, you're just in the zone and you kind of forget where the hell you are sometimes. Happens a lot when I'm making Neyyah. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I love my coffee. Decaf. I drink as much decaf as possible. Just because of like health reasons as well. Just my stomach, yeah. I'm not going to go into details about that, but yeah, it's just nice. Decaf kind of works a bit nice on my stomach these days, especially with the amount of coffee I drink. Anyway, tangenting. So we'll go to, where is it? Just making sure we're in the right place. Climb down, and we'll do the last frame. Are you ready? So climb down. That needs to be changed as well, because once we skip it, we need to go to 12C. See, this left click is the skip. You know, you click on the animation, it will skip. You left click on the animation, it will skip it, and it will go to this frame, this scene here. This is our basically the transitions. So you can see here, transition speed is true, neutral, relax, off, and with that one you want it to be an immediate click. You don't want any fade, so that last one here always has to be immediately show scene, while the other ones are fade to scene because you have these little fade effects here. This one doesn't. So that's just automatically there for every frame. Okay, so that should be fine now. Enter scene, climb down, switch to scene. Yep, that's cool. Just double checking what's going on here. Okay, that's weird. What's happening there? Look down, back up. Down. So these hotspots have gone all crazy on me. Not too sure why. Oh, my bad. We've actually rendered these at 50% accidentally. Yes, and that obviously affects the OpenGL as well. So, okay, we're gonna quickly do that again. We're just gonna render them out. I'll be back. Okie dokie, so we have our frames here, and we're going to delete the ones that we currently have in the build because they've been rendered at 50% resolution. So we need to now replace them with our 400% res images. It should be set automatically to just replace. So replace all. Lovely. It's taking a bit longer this time around because they're at full 100%. That makes more sense. I was wondering why the hotspots look so big around. Well, now it's working, I believe. I think. Let's see. Yeah, now it's looking okay. Last, yeah, a little while ago they were really small. So now they should just automatically replace anyway. So I'm just going to double check that when we go forward, we are now going to go straight to that animation. I'm actually going to save this as a separate file as well, just as like a little backup. 76. It's always good to have backups, especially if something goes wrong with the actual gameplay. It's like, why? You know, and then you can at least go back to a previous save, and then you can see what went wrong in that particular area. And I had to do that fairly recently, actually, which is, you know, it's just one of those things. You change one thing, and suddenly other things change. It's just like, great. Okay, I think that's all done. And I believe we can now just delete all these, because this is the frame that will go to the animation that plays. We now change scene to climb down animation, I believe. Yes, that's the one. Immediately plays. Alrighty. See how it goes. Throw it down. Nice. Cool. Yeah, it runs quite nicely. So that was set. That's actually just double checking that. For some reason that's not playing with the journey mode enabled. It should do. Right now it shouldn't even be playing at all. So we need to look at that. It goes straight up there, you see, because the journey mode isn't enabled. So let's see what's happening there. So we have oh, I know what I've done wrong. If we go back to here, I should hopefully be able to just undo a couple of things here. Okay, so we actually need to keep them because my bad. When we go down, if it's not enabled, we need to go straight down to that scene. So this is where we have add the conditions. If condition of the journey mode is false, do all that. And then if it's enabled, then we go to the scene where the animation automatically plays. And make sure we've got the journey mode selected. Cool. Okay, we should have a bit of success now. Yeah, brilliant. It's just going straight down the ladder, straight up the ladder, straight down the ladder. Imagine seeing the world like this. Imagine playing the game like this. It's like, you know, you're playing in like some kind of like you're playing a game in a candy world. Everything's just like made of candy. You can like eat everything. There should be like an eat option where you just eat the world, and then you can't actually, you just like, it's like a way of being able to complete the game, but it's like a secret way that no one really ever bothers to do, but you can actually just eat the entire world and then you've completed the game. The best speedrun ever. So yeah, you can go up here. Now if I go down here and enable my journey mode, I should just, yeah, it flashes for some reason, I don't know why that is. There's a little blink there. Turn around. Lovely. I think it works quite nicely. There's a bit of a blink. See why that is. Could be, yeah, there's a little fade there, you see. It's a very subtle thing, but I needed that. No, I need to go straight to the video. I need to go straight to that animation. So now, back to my journey mode, go straight into it. so nice having sounds to this as well. Yeah, I think that turn's pretty cool. I think it works quite nicely. I'll show you quickly the other animations I did yesterday as well. So you can actually open these boxes now, go inside and pull these levers down. Funny enough, at the moment you can actually pull them at the same time, which is kind of funny. I was going to animate these little buttons as well, but I'm not too sure if I will or not. If you turn right or left right now, this should automatically close. Yeah, brilliant. Obviously they're not rendered yet, but you get the idea. Awesome stuff. I think I'll add a skip there too, so if you do have the animation play, you turn around, you can just click again and it will skip. Otherwise it might get a bit annoying. Okay, so yeah, we can actually go up, skip, go down, skip, and so forth. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, guys. Just adding animations into various scenes of the game for pretty much the rest of this week. This also involves kind of adding puzzle elements while I'm doing that as well. So yeah, feel free to like, subscribe to this channel. I've got a lot more devlogs coming along the way this year as I develop Neyyah. Definitely wishlist the game as well, wishlist Neyyah on Steam. This year is going to see a lot of cool changes, a lot of cool announcements as well, coming up fairly soon, hopefully as well. And there's a lot more engine work happening this year. There's a lot of modelling still to do for the game. So what I tend to do now is I kind of work 1 week on the engine work, and then I work the next week on all the modelling stuff. So I kind of have a really creative, kind of artistic week, and then I come back into the engine the next week. And, I mean, that's one of the cool things about being a solo developer, full-time as well, is that I can basically wear those different hats and do all those different jobs. The actual inventory UI here, and actually getting it to work, that's been a really cool process, getting it into the game, and Christopher Summer helped massively getting that into the build. So big thank you to Christopher for helping me out there. Fantastic Visionarian. He knows a lot about Visionaire, a lot more than I do, and so it's really wonderful having his assistance there and getting that into the game. So yeah, thanks again, Christopher. That's been awesome. Yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video. I'm hoping to get one out at least, once a week, maybe potentially once every 2 weeks, depending on what my workload is. But I think even just getting these videos of me working on things that I'm doing at the time is just, it's kind of a cool insight. Particularly, with every week I'm doing something different. It's kind of cool to show you what I'm up to. So yeah, like, subscribe, wishlist Neyyah on Steam. Join up on the Patreon as well. There's a Patreon page where I kind of go into more kind of nitty-gritty details. There's also signed desktop screens that I upload once a month, maybe 4 in a month. You can also have an audio call or video call with me as well. There's various different rewards there for patrons, so definitely check that out, and it also helps support the full-time game development of Neyyah as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Over and out. Bye.